So, my dear ones, welcome into the sanctuary on this great Sunday, this great, beautiful day, and the beautiful, wonderful, unfolding possibility that it could be for you and that it could be for me if you and I are here now, if you and I are open and receptive, if you and I are listening, and just focused on being all that we can be. We're continuing this month to look at all that is of creativity, all that is of freedom, all that is of choice. And we're doing it today under the title of The Empowered Life. And an empowered life is the only life that you and I ever wish to live. And it is what we wish for every single human being on the planet, to live in an empowered way. And what does that mean? If you go to the dictionary and look up empowerment, it's a kind of a mix. And you'll agree with some of the definitions and not so much of some of them either. But for me, what is empowerment? It is the affirmation and the support and the recognition of the right of all life to flourish and to thrive. That's what it is to me. It's the right of every individual to take control of their own lives, be responsible for their own lives, and in so doing and being, proceed to flourish and to thrive. That's what empowerment is to me. And I do believe that it's something that all of us would desire to express and to experience most of the time, at least 51% of the time, and then we'd be doing extremely well. But everybody in this room, I'm sure, has felt many times when they felt disempowered. Disempowered indeed. And moving toward that helpless, hopeless state. And what's it all about now? Where do I go to from here? Because I'm not seeing any way. That's a common experience amongst us all. And if we all didn't have that, well, then our lives would be different. So we've all experienced this in some way. Now, disempowerment, of course, is very much equated with victimhood. And again, that's something we've all experienced, victimhood in some way or another, regardless of the how and the where and the why. But we've all experienced that to some degree or another, because if we did not, we would be empowered all of the time, wouldn't we? So we're invited this week to look at that. How self-empowered am I? How am I still allowing myself to be victimized in some way or another? Because it's time to get over that. It really is now. There are people in this world today, you could say, are truly victims of all kinds of injustice, to say the least, and so on and so on and so on. And I can understand that kind of experience of victimhood. But for the most part, most of us are not entitled to that sense and that recognition. Most of us just feel victimized because we don't get our way. That's what we here in this beautiful, wonderful place. We're victimized because we didn't get our way, because we feel so entitled. And when that doesn't work out, I'm a victim. See, it's their fault. They're to blame. Well, as long as you and I are blaming, we're not empowered. We certainly couldn't be. They don't go together. It's not possible. It's not possible to feel empowered and at the same time feel that I'm a victim. So it behooves us all to take care of that business. And even though the awfulness of the past may still leave scars upon us, if we're going to feel empowered, we have to leave that state of victimhood and enter into the sovereign beingness that we all are. And don't say it's impossible for some people. It's not. Remember again, the sun does rise. Remember again, Anthony Ray Hinton, a man, imprisoned on death row for something he didn't do. If he hadn't overcome himself, if he hadn't overcome the terrible bitterness and anger that he was feeling and the shut down state he was in, if he hadn't moved out of that, he wouldn't be a free man today. He wouldn't probably be even living today. But he did. What did he decide to do? He decided to take the power back. He decided that he was going to focus on hope and love and justice. And he decided that he was going to serve the people around him. and make a difference in their lives. He was going to empower others because he had come into the self-empowerment himself. And that's exactly what he did do. And against all odds, the man was vindicated. Not only was he freed, but he was exonerated from what it was he's supposed to have done. And now he lives an inspired life, inspiring others. So if a man like that can do it, don't tell me that any one of us can't get over ourselves. Really. I mean, that is to live in a very disempowered way, and that's not who or what we are and what we're meant to be. And at the moment in this world, we need to be the full strength of ourselves. Always we need that, but most particularly right now, because it's like Looney Tunes out there. I don't know if you've noticed, but it seems to me it's like Looney Tunes out there. And not the easiest place to raise a child in, really. But anyway, it is what it is, and you know why it is what it is. You do know that. It's not responsible. No one human being is responsible for this. What is it that causes us to be in the states that we're in, especially as a world community? It's one thing and one thing alone. One thing and one thing alone. It's collective consciousness. Collective consciousness is the creative energy that produces the kind of state and world we're living in. Don't make any mistake about that. That's what happens. It's collective consciousness that manifests whatever it is we're experiencing. It creates and manifests whatever we're experiencing, collective consciousness. Now, you might think, oh, well, I can't do anything about that. Oh, yes, you can, and you are, and you're doing it all the time, and so am I. Because whatever we think into that is having its effect. Okay, seek a higher consciousness. We sing every Sunday, God knows. Seek a higher consciousness. Well, how easy is it to do that when you're out there in the marketplace and everybody is annoying you and getting on your last nerve? Seek a higher consciousness? Oh, yeah, I really want to go for the juggler is what I really want to do. So don't talk to me about that now. This is not the time, this is not the place. That belongs in church on Sunday. But there's where we are for the most part, you know? And all we have to do is draw breath. Draw breath. I keep saying it, and it may sound loony or whatever, but the best way to get yourself back on track, to center yourself in the awareness of something that is greater than you are, that is greater than everything is to breathe deeply and remember, you're not breathing at all. You're just allowing the breath of life to express itself through you, and it has the power, all power too, to help you in any situation you're in. So just the drawing of that one breath is enough to stop you from exploding and launching that rocket that's going to devastate and deconstruct whatever it is around you. Simple. But do we do it? That's the question. We're able to look at this and come up with this when we're in class studying the principles of science of mind and spirit. And we're focused on the science of living, because that's what science of mind and spirit is. It's the science and the art of living a good life. No problem when we're in class, no problem when we're in the sanctuary, no problem when we're even having, discussion groups amongst ourselves and so on. But out in the marketplace, when, as I say, everything's getting on your last nerve and you're hot and you're bothered, and so on and so forth. Nobody's paying attention to your needs in the stores or wherever you are, in the line in the supermarket, whatever that is. But this is where we earn our stripes, in the marketplace. Not sitting in the sanctuary on a Sunday or taking class either. We learn our stripes in the marketplace, when it's all chaotic, etc. That's how we do know whether we're empowered or not. That's how we know it. Watch people in supermarkets especially. Oh my goodness me. Watch people sitting around in restaurants and how they're behaving themselves and what's going on and the conversations. You can't help but hear the conversations because they're roaring all over the place. Even in the supermarket, they're on their Bluetooths and they have no idea that they're not in a private space. And they're shouting and bawling into this thing as they look at the shelves for their peas or whatever it is they're looking for. And they're talking about the most intimate things in the middle of the supermarket that really gives me a gobsmack experience. I want to go and say, shh, are listening. You see, that's where you and I know who and what we are or what we're not. And what is the key to all of this? Mindfulness. Mindfulness. Hear it in your ears every time you're about to just go mindless. Pull yourself back from that brink, because that's where we all hang out the most, in mindfulness. And that's the key to everything, being mindful. What does that mean? It means stay present in the moment now. Don't look behind you, don't look before you, don't look around you. Stay with the moment now. Be focused on how can I empower in this situation? How can I empower in this situation? How can I empower in this situation? Not go ballistic and become disempowered yourself. See, that's what we're called to do this week. This week we're called to focus on this and be out there, being all that we can be, and pouring into that collective consciousness, all that good juice, all of that good juju, all of that good grace in there to mix up amongst all of that toxicity and eliminate it. Because once the light hits the darkness disappears. Have you noticed that? And remember this too, my dear ones, you're not just the wax of the candle, you're the very light that burns the wax. This is what we have to remember if we want to feel empowered and be empowered and behave ourselves like we're sovereign, empowered, intelligent people. It's not too much to ask. Why? Because it's our natural way of being. It's our natural state of being. It's what we're born as and into, the possibility of. And as I was sharing this morning, in all of us there is this burgeoning, vibrant seed of life, awaiting direction to grow into whatever good that you and I desire. Awaiting our direction to grow and burst forth into the fruit that we desire to nourish us in our lives. It's always there, no matter how miserable or awful or whatever it is that's going on within you. It's there, as burgeoning as ever, as ready as ever, filled with the same infinite possibility as ever, right where you are under your nose. And as the poet says, Walt Whitman, we are so much more than what's between our hat and our boots. We would say our hair and our feet nowadays, because we don't wear boots and hats all the time. So much more when we are settling for so very little and so much less. The choice is yours, the choice is mine, but it's hard work on yourself, not anybody else, not when they get their act right, and when they sort themselves out. I'll feel better. No, you won't, because somebody else will come in and take their place. So it's right here, right now, and it sits squarely upon the shoulders of you. Your responsibility for your own empowered life rests right here. And you've got strong shoulders to absolutely walk tall, walk straight through every climate you can encounter in the human species. The choice is yours. It always has been and never was not your choice to think whatever it is you want to think, to feel whatever it is you choose to feel. The question is, we have certain truths that we believe in that we say are our beliefs, the principles of science of mind and spirit. Do they measure up with your real beliefs? Is that what you're really believing, or are you believing something else? Because you can't have the two things going on at once. It's either one or the other thing. Now, you either trust the intuitive intelligence within you and its truth and its light and its intelligence and its absolute radiant grace and guidance, or you're trusting what's going on in the outer world and what your senses tell you. Can't do the two things at the one time. So what is it going to be, my dear ones? What are we going to dish up for ourselves this week? Same old, more of the same. More complaining, more blaming, more all of the rest of it. You can't walk out the door, but you'll hear some complaint or another. But let it not be coming out of our mouths. Let us go out there and be what we're here to be, on the vanguard, the front line of this transitional change that's going on the planet. Let us be that strong, empowered front line, and let's hold the fort. Let's hold the fort. Keep back the tide of anything that is not in keeping with the truth. What is the truth? See, you can't live from the truth if you don't know what the truth is. The truth is that all of life is one. It's as basic as that. There's only one life. That's all. All life is one. I think it was Russell Gibbs who says in his book that God/the universe is a democracy of one. Of one. Of one. Now, there's no getting away from that until you and I are good with that, until we have it down pat, that all of life is one, there's one life, and I'm in the one life, and the one life is in me. Rumi has it beautifully. He says, listen, you are not the drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in the drop. That's what Rumi says. Oh, Jesus said the same thing. He said, I'm in the Father, and the Father's in me. He who sees me sees the Father. Now, the Father to him was the omniscient presence, eternal presence of life and truth and love. I'm in the Father's in me. The whole entire ocean is in the drop. Remember that. You're never empty, you're always full. You're never on fumes, you're always tanked up. That's the inner truth of your being. On the outside, yes, you're running around on fumes a lot of the time. Fumes, well, nobody else wants your fumes. They have their own fumes. They want your fullness, not your fumes. Don't get it confused. If you're running on fumes, stay at home. Don't toxicate the outer world with your fumes. Okay, you gotta see it like bread and butter, common sense stuff. But common sense has proved not to be enough for us. We need uncommon sense right now going on within us all. We need a higher sense of sense taking place and moving through us all, so that we as empowered, individualized expressions of the one great unfolding life of wholeness, unity, and harmony and oneness can get out there and live that way, as though it were so. And if we live as though it were so, one day we'll wake up and it'll be so. That's how the law of life works. Remember, there is no God outside the God that is within you. No God outside the God that is within you, bearing in mind that you are everything and everyone, and everything and everyone is you. It's a conundrum, it's a Zen koan, but that's the way it is. Figure it out. I mean, it wouldn't be in front of us if we couldn't figure it out, if we hadn't got the ability. But there you are. So for all of us who are still seeking God, for goodness sake, just take a look within. If you don't find the God, goodness, wholeness of life here, it's not to be found anywhere else. And once you find it here, you're going to find it everywhere else. That's just how oneness, unity, and harmony works. One mind, one power, one presence, one life. And that life is my life, and it's now. Forget about the past and forget about the future. Now, I know there are some of us who are still feeling victimized because of what went on in the past. But you cannot be empowered living from the past. You cannot be empowered living in the future. The only way you can be empowered is to experience it right here and right now. So stay in the moment. That's why mindfulness is the key to staying in the present. Staying in the presence in the present moment. Because that's the only place anything happens. There's no such thing as tomorrow. Tomorrow is always today that has arrived. And it's always today. It's always today. Doesn't matter if you wake up and you go to sleep, and it's still today when you wake up. It's always today when you wake up. So why are we just dragging our derrieres because of the past and scared up to the hilt because of the future, when today everything could be fine, everything could be grand, everything could be glorious? There's not a bother on anybody sitting in this sanctuary right here and right now if you're focused, if you were able to leave your concerns outside. And when it is written, before you enter into the Holy of Holies, take off your shoes and leave your shoes outside, that means take off your worries, take off your concerns, take off your troubles, take off all your ailments, leave them outside if you want to enter in and be in bliss. That's all. Because where there is bliss, there can't be ailment. You understand that doesn't work. You can't. No ailment can enter into that which is whole and complete. Whole and complete. Because if illness or any ailment entered in, and it could be illness of mind, body, heart, and soul, it wouldn't be complete anymore. So nothing can enter into completeness except completeness. Only God can enter into God. Only life can enter into life. Only love can enter into love, and joy enter into joy, and so on and so forth. This is a conundrum, I know. But that's okay, because some of us love to work out puzzles, don't we? Well, that's the greatest puzzle of all, and if you don't like puzzle work, you better get used to it, because it's all a puzzle. It's all a big puzzle that can be figured out by inquiring minds who want to know. And we're here because we all have inquiring minds that want to know. I'm knowing that. Yes, you could be living a fantastic, amazing, exploding with good life if you were to think aright and feel aright and move upon that in a right way. And right just simply means in an affirmative, holistic way. Of course you can. It's your entitlement. Doesn't matter what your past is and how wicked and awful and horrible you've been in the past. Doesn't matter. It's over. It's done with. It doesn't have any power over you now, unless you give it power. Every day is a fresh start. Every moment is a new start. Every breath is a new start. You could be anything and anyone you want to be. You really can. You could be any way you want to be. Remember the fresh, burgeoning seed that is within you that can become anything, just like a stem cell. A stem cell, it has been proven now, and it's awesome. A stem cell has capacity within itself to be any variety of itself it so desires to be. It can morph itself into anything. A new kidney in time, a new liver, and so on and so forth. Watch those stem cells. Learn from those stem cells, because that seed within you is the very same. You can morph that into any good thing that you so desire through what you're thinking into it, what you're thinking around it, what you're thinking about it. It's your best hidden treasure. It's the pearl of great price the scriptures talk about. It's the field that the man sold everything for to have. That's what this seed within you, the seed of life, is. It's always been there, it always will be there, it's always available to you. And you access it through your mindful thinking, through your open receptivity to this good that you desire. When you stop telling yourself it's impossible, nothing is. Nothing is. This is a seed of infinite possibility, whose roots are in every part and particle of your being and can blossom into whatever you so design it to. And how do we do that? We do it by focusing. Whatever our focused aim is will come to pass and come to fruition and will show up as an experience in your life and in mine. Be careful what you're focusing your thought on. It always hits the target, always. It never misses. It will always hit the target, whatever persistent thought, persistent feeling that backs it up, whatever that is, That's going to provide you with an experience in your life, and it can be good or bad or indifferent. Why wouldn't we choose the good, for heaven's sakes? Haven't we had enough of choosing that which is not good? Haven't we had enough experience of negativity to say, I'm about done with this now, enough already? Common sense on common sense. Common sense to uncommon sense. You don't judge this on the cold plateau of logic. It cannot be accessed through logic. Nah, that's a laugh in the metaphysical and spiritual world. You have to go beyond that, beyond mind, into undiluted pure consciousness. And then, da-da-da-da-da-da-dum-dum. And it's worth the practice leading up to it. It's worth it. So stay in the practice. Stay faithful to the practice. Stay faithful to yourself, to thine own self. Be true. And boy, will your life change exponentially. Because why? Because I'll keep reminding us until we get it. And please God, sooner rather than later, you're listening. Remember, it is written that if you want to blame God, if you want to praise God, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror, because that's what you're praising and that's what you're blaming, the God within yourself as yourself. So, my dear ones, what is it that is our now clarion call that we have to remember? And it's this: I am the point of power through which the infinite intelligence expresses itself in all of us, all of its radiant magnificence, in every single seeded one of us. That is the truth that sets us free. Let's go for it now. And so it is.